So good morning. Welcome to Scottsdale Center for Spiritual Living. I am Reverend Jill Clements. Happy Easter. I'm delighted that you're with us today. Wish we could be together in person, but we can't. But we can, through this miracle of technology, be together today here on Facebook Live. And we practice a life-affirming spirituality for successful living. That's what we do here. We teach the science of mind, philosophy of faith, and a way of life, a way of living. Don't teach you what to think, but teach you how to think. And again, delighted that you're with us today. If you're our regulars, our members, our regular congregants that attend, welcome, welcome. Miss you tremendously. If you're brand new, glad you found us. Welcome to our service. We do usually meet in a building, but right now we're meeting online, and once this is over, we'll be getting back together again with some exciting things happening that look forward to sharing that with you as well. So I'm glad you found us. And this morning, I want to start like we always do with a reading and an invocation, a prayer. And our reading today is from a book called This Thing Called Life. And it's written by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. And this is an old version. It's from the 1950s. And those of you that know me know I love books. And these old ones just always fascinate me. So this is about confidence and love, which seems appropriate for our current reality, if you will. Confidence and love alone cast out fear. The man without fear is the only truly whole man. It is ours to decide whether we shall live in fear or in faith. Let us decide to live in faith. Let the keynote of our thought be, God is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Faith alone binds us back to the invisible. Let us learn to practice faith until all fear disappears, until life becomes a song of joy. We feel cut off from the source of our being, and we fail daily to reunite ourselves with the source of all being. This is the meaning of true religion, disregarding its outward form, for the body of truth is one, no matter what vestments it may wear. To find peace in the midst of confusion, one must realize his center is pure spirit. To reach this place of confidence and faith in the midst of doubt and uncertainty, one must establish himself in the conviction that the divine keeps watch over its own. The center of everyone's life is poised in pure spirit. We should daily seek this inner communion, for it is also a place of spiritual protection and divine guidance. So would you join me in an invocation this morning as we tap into that divine guidance? How good it is that we join together today in community to celebrate this Easter holiday, this time of connecting in our Scottsdale CSL community with each other, with our families and friends, even if it's over the telephone or over some video conferencing. We just recognize that there is only one life, one source, one mind, and that is God, that is spirit, that is essence in the presence. It is all that is, and all of it is here now present, in, through, and as me, as an expression of it. As I know that of myself, as I know that I am unified with that oneness of the divine, in, through, and as it is in, through, and as me. I know that for each one of us gathered here today, and anyone within the sound of my voice that hears this prayer, we are all united in the consciousness of the one. We are not separate, no matter what it looks like. We are united in the wholeness and the perfection of love. And so from this place, I speak my word this day for and about each one of us, knowing divine health radiates through each one of us, knowing that we are sourced and supplied of every good that we need, every good that we desire, knowing that we remain connected to each other and to community. I bless this Easter holiday and all faith traditions who celebrate it or anything else on this day, knowing that, as Ernest said in that reading, no matter the vestments that we wear in our religious orders, there is one truth, one God, many paths, and we bless all of them, knowing that all are divinely guided and that we receive on that path and on that journey exactly what we need. I bless our service time today. I bless our technology. I bless each and every one of us gathered here in celebration of love. And then with a grateful heart filled with joy and thanksgiving, I just release this into the action of law, the activity of mind, affirming that it is done, it is so. Amen, and so it is. So a couple of announcements for us quickly this morning. I want to say first acknowledge and say thank you to Joe Hammer and to Lori Frisbee for being our moderators. You can interact with them, with each other, with them, make comments, ask questions about the service or what I'm talking about, and they're the moderators, they will help you with that and answer those questions. Lori is also our prayer practitioner today, and she is available to you through our website, scottsdalecsl.org, and that's where you can find information about our community. There's a prayer request form there that you can complete. If you need more assistance in a written prayer, you would like a telephone conversation with the prayer practitioner, you can leave that information there also, and Lori will reach out to you. And I just want to say thank you, Lori, to all your service to this community in so many ways that you serve. And announcements this week, we're continuing our Big Magic, our book of the month with Elizabeth Gilbert, and that is on Tuesday evenings from 6 to 7:30 on Zoom. You can find the connection information on our webpage, and we just had a delightful time last week. This book is so easy to read, and she's a very good author and brings forth some wonderful ideas, and we had great discussion and conversation. Even if you're not reading the book, I'm going to invite you to join us for that. It's all about the creative process that moves within us. And so I would invite you to join us for this on Tuesday, 6 to 7:30 on a Zoom call. Information's on the website. And that's also where you can sign up for our newsletter. If you're not receiving our Saturday morning emails, our newsletter that we send out each week, you can sign up on the website. It's a very simple process, and you'll receive those and some additional materials and information that we may be sending out in the future. You want to stay connected to the community, that's the way to do that. And of course, you can unsubscribe at any time, and we never sell your information or anything. It's just for our community to stay connected with each other. And that's also the place that you can make your donation to the community. We are a 501(c)(3). You can make a tax-deductible donation to our community through our website. Click the donate button, and it can be reoccurring where it just happens automatically for you, or you can do it on a weekly basis, whichever is your preference. And that's it. It can be on a weekly basis, or it can be on your preference, however you would choose to do that. And Tuesday and Thursday, Lori is continuing her midday meditations, noon on Zoom with Lori. If you like to meditate, or if you've never meditated, this is a wonderful opportunity for you to dial in on this Zoom call and see what it's about. Witness it from the privacy of your home and practice in a meditation state with Lori. And like I say, this happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon, and you connect in community, you connect with Lori, she'll guide you through some meditation. It's a wonderful way to stay connected and to deepen your spiritual practices, particularly if you've never tried meditation. This is a wonderful, wonderful way to do it. Information's on the website about how to get connected with that group. And that is it for all of our announcements, short and sweet this morning. So let's talk about Easter. Transitions always start with an ending. To become something else, you have to stop being what you are now. You have to let go of the old. Now this is from author William Bridges. He wrote a classic book back in the 1980s called Transitions. He republished that in the early 2000s, and it's about making sense of life's changes. And I found this to be a very good description for my talk today, which is Broken Open. And it helps us with the metaphysical meaning of the Easter story, the death, entombment, and resurrection of Jesus. The story is a metaphor for the expansion and growth of human consciousness that we constantly go through our entire lives. It's a rather dramatic story that exemplifies this, but as I've worked with it this week, I really got clear on this idea of the transition, particularly in light of Bridges' work in the book Transitions. We've done this all of our life, haven't we? From growing and expanding in our mother's womb and leaving that into the infancy and the total dependency that we had. We grew into youth and adolescence and then into adulthood. We grew taller and probably wider. We grew hopefully smarter. We learned and grew and expanded in our consciousness and our awareness. And also our ideas and our thoughts and our beliefs, all of that changes and grows and expands as we do over the course of life. And we go through these cycles of that. We go through cycles of it. And the Easter story is one that tells us this story of transition. We see this same transition right now in nature here in Arizona in particular. Everything is blooming. It's gorgeous out there with the greens and all the flowers and the cacti blooming and everything. It's just beautiful. If you have had the ability to get out and drive around a little bit and just see some of the bougainvillea are just on fire. They're just so beautiful right now. But we see that coming back to life after the dormancy, the death of winter has passed. And in ancient Egypt, if you know the story of Osiris, he was killed and brought back to life, resurrected. And this is a common theme throughout many faith traditions, many ancient stories, many native stories, and it's almost archetypal. It's almost archetypal of this cycle of life, the birth and the death, the birth and the death that continues. And Osiris, of course, became the god of the agricultural cycle of plants growing and then being harvested, growing and dying to the harvest. And these are all just natural expressions in the plant, animal, and human realm of life and death, life and death. But the human transitions, those can be a little more dicey for us, can't they? We seem to struggle with those a little bit more. We either want to race through them or avoid them completely. You know, there's a lot of different emotions and things that we go through, no matter whether we're in the planting stage of something new or maybe we're experiencing the death phase of something that we're letting go of, something that no longer serves us. And this can be in any area of our lives, can it? It can be in our career, it can be in our finances, it can be in our relationships, it can be in our health, it can even be in our spiritual growth. Many of us have been on this spiritual growth path for a while, and we face these transitions. We face these transitions. And with every transition, of course, we have opportunity, don't we? We have opportunity to embrace it, to be with it, to move through it. We have the opportunity to resist it, to say, no interest. And we have the opportunity to rise from it, to rise from it. So my question today is, where are you in this current transition that we are collectively, globally going through? Where are you in this transition time? Are you doing well in the neutral zone? This is what Bridges calls it in his transitions work, is the neutral zone between the tomb and the death and the tomb, between the death and before resurrection, that place of neutrality, that place of creativity, quite frankly. And in football, let's make a leap here. Let's go to football. We know there's a neutral zone in football, don't we? And it's actually, I had to read this and find out what it was, but it's the 11 inches as the length of the football where it sits between the two lines, the offense and the defense. That's called the neutral zone. And if the defensive player steps into that and violates that before the snap, then it's a penalty. It's a foul to violate the neutral zone. And in the transitions work, Susan Bridges suggests that the essence of life itself takes place in the neutral zone phase of transitions. It is the interim spaciousness that all possibilities and creativity and innovative ideas can come to life and flourish. Well, that's kind of funny as you think about that in football, because the same is true there, isn't it? When the two teams line up face to face, they're facing infinite possibilities, aren't they? The defense thinks that they're going to sack the quarterback and end the game. And the offense thinks they're going to score the winning touchdown. And everything's an infinite possibility in that moment. Even the fans are engaged that it's infinite possibility and our side's going to win until the snap. And then everything starts and whatever happens, happens in that moment. But it is the moment of infinite possibility within that before anything happens. What if we think of this time, right here, right now that we're in, as our neutral zone? What if we reshaped our perspective of it and said, hey, I'm in the neutral zone right now. I've received the gift of infinite possibilities to play in, the creative field to be in during this quiet time. How are you using your gift of time right now? Are you embracing it? Are you making it welcome in joy and thanksgiving? Or perhaps we're resisting it. Perhaps we're making it wrong, complaining about it, about what we can and can't do, where we can go, where we can't go, what we can see, who we can't see, who's doing what and who's not doing what. You know, it's been very interesting for me in this past, probably 5 to 12 days maybe, to watch this change in Facebook. I get a similar group of people that post most of the time, and I've been watching some interesting things occur on this. There's been a vocalness in complaining and making wrong, condemning, and just not being very kind. And I'm not sure if it's really the fact that we're isolated and we're going a little cabin crazy, maybe, or what's going on. But it's interesting because in the science of mind, of course, we teach what we focus on expands. And if we truly are in a neutral zone in the field of infinite possibilities, it seems that being more kind and generous and focusing on solutions and cures and those sorts of things would be more productive for us than tearing down other people. I mean, this is unprecedented time for us right now, isn't it? We've never been through something like this before. Our leaders have never been through something like this before. We're still dealing with, we don't know what all the symptoms are. I read an article this morning that was saying that this has probably been going on since December in San Francisco, and that they're finding new symptoms that don't include fever and don't include some of these other things that we've all been on the lookout for. And I find it fascinating that rather than being kind and generous to each other in this time that we're all somewhat fearful and cautious, that there's this lashing out that I'm starting to see. And it concerns me for who we be. It concerns me for who we be. So I am encouraging us to be more kind and more generous and focus on what it is we choose to experience in our life. Health, wholeness, prosperity, kindness, love, and not making everyone else or anyone else wrong for what they are doing, attempting to do. Ernest Holmes is the founder and author of The Science of Mind, and he says there are going to be changes in our lives from hour to hour and day to day, and we cannot escape them. It is the nature of the universe. Let us accept change. Make the most of it. Capitalize on it. The action of the law never changes, but the direction of the action is always up to us. Life can become a glorious adventure, increasingly filled with more of every good thing as we gradually or suddenly become to change our pattern of thinking so that it embraces more of those good things. Embracing this time with a sense of curiosity, a willingness to explore, and enthusiastic acceptance. This can make the difference in us feeling entombed, frustrated, and scared, or feeling free. We know that this will end, right? We know that this will end. And things are going to return to some form of normal. It likely will be different than it has ever been before. We've seen these upheavals in big global changes. We saw it after the occurrences of 9/11. We have seen it after the Great Recession that we came through. Our psyche, our consciousness, our awareness has been shifted. I fully expect it to be shifted again after this is over with. There will be some changes that we get to deal with when we go back out into the world. But how will we be? Who will we be on the other side of that? If we look forward to that with dread and worry and fear and consternation, the experience of it now on ourselves and in the future will be much different than if we live in this field of infinite possibilities, anticipating and expecting the best. We'll enjoy a better experience now, which is really the only moment we have in this present now, and probably in the future as well, because we're setting the platform, the tendency of our thinking, as Dr. Ernest says, that we can embrace more of those good things. It was Ralph Waldo Emerson who said, "Not in his goals, but in his transitions, man is great." Not in the goals that we set for things we want to achieve, but in the transitions of the now moment, how we handle this dark night of the soul maybe. How do we handle those times? That is what makes us great. Like the example that we see in nature of the transformation of the caterpillar, the cocoon, the butterfly, like that, we can also break free of the cocoon of our limiting beliefs, our negative thinking and fear. You've probably heard the story of the man that was watching the butterfly working its way out of a cocoon. He watched for a long time. The butterfly struggled and struggled and struggled, and finally there was a little tiny hole in the cocoon. And then the butterfly got very, very still. And the man watched for a few minutes expecting it to emerge, and it was such a tiny hole, he thought, well, that little butterfly is struggling. I'll help it. I'll help it. So he got his scissors and he cut open the cocoon, and out comes the butterfly, and he's expecting it to jump up and spread its beautiful wings and fly away. And then he didn't. And he sort of crawled around a little bit, and his body was shriveled and his wings didn't work right. And in his brief little life, he struggled the entire time. And what the man, out of his kindness and his eagerness to be helpful, did not recognize is that that tight cocoon and the efforts and the struggle that the butterfly had to make in order to squeeze through that tiny, tiny hole were nature's way of training the butterfly and strengthening its wings. So, like the butterfly, if we emerge from our time too soon, too quickly, from this time of transition, our transformation is incomplete also. But isn't the space and time between the death and resurrection, again, the dark night of the soul, don't we want to rush through that most of the time? It's like, oh, please, just get me to the other side of this. I don't want to be in this mess anymore. Let me treat myself out of this. Let me affirm myself out of this. Let me skip this part. And yet, it is the part that serves our souls. It serves our consciousness for its expanding. It's a growth phase for us, much like the caterpillar turning into the butterfly in the cocoon. It's a time when we grow and expand to receive the new, to receive the greater, we talk about this, that sometimes if someone receives a great sum of money, either through a winning or an inheritance or something, they've not expanded their awareness sufficiently to receive it, to be able to handle it, and end up usually losing it and getting themselves right back to the same place they were when they started. So there is a growth phase that we have to go through to expand our awareness, expand our consciousness. And it's like working out. We can't go run a marathon if we haven't trained for it. We must do some training. This is our training time in the neutral zone. So shortchanging this, though, can lead us to repeat old patterns and old mistakes. And we know that through probably experience in our lives. But there is a time when in all transitions, when we know that it's time to move on. It's time to break free. It's time to break open. Much like a geode. I love rocks. And a geode, it just looks like an old rock until it's broken open. And inside is beautiful, beautiful gemstones, maybe an amethyst, and it's that beautiful deep purple color. But on the outside, it looks like just a rock until it's broken open. What is breaking open within you right now during this time? What is seeking to be expressed? What is seeking to be created, evolved through you into greater awareness, greater consciousness? What is seeking to break open within you? We know that we've learned what we need to learn. We know that our time in the neutral zone is over, and our life circumstances begin to point us towards new doorways and opportunities. And that those things are going to start emerging through us. We just have this intuitive knowing that we're done. We're ready for the next. And our energy begins to rise like the butterfly in the cocoon. Our strength has built up. And it may be first just a small hole where the light is beginning to come in. We have an inkling of change. We have an inkling of new. But we know it is time to allow the newness to emerge, to take that step. And it's time to spread our wings and fly. So this week I invite you, as part of your spiritual practices, to reflect on this time in the neutral zone, this time that we have right now. Are you rushing to get through it, to get to the other side? I just wish this was all over with and I didn't have to listen to the news anymore, or deal with working remotely, or trying to figure out how to stay home with my spouse. Any of those fun things that are happening in our lives, it's all different. Our pets are going crazy, aren't they? They don't want us around either. But how are you dealing with the time? How are you dealing with your neutral zone? Are you embracing it? Are you making it welcome? Are you joyful and thankful that it's here and you get to have this time of infinite possibilities and creativity? Are you resisting it? If you find yourself resisting it, I'm going to invite you to deepen a spiritual practice and to really look at that resistance and fear and frustration and anger and anything else that might be going on in that, and really try to let go of that. We know what we resist persists and gets bigger. And the more we lash out at others and make them wrong, or even this situation, making it wrong, the bigger it gets, the more difficult and cumbersome it is to handle. And the more unhappy we are, frankly, as an individual. So I'm going to invite you to do some work around that, let that go, and then recognize, tap into your intuition, recognize when it's time to rise. When it's time for you to rise up out of your neutral zone. And your creative work may be online. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to experience the online format and recognize that this is your opportunity for future growth, that maybe you don't need the office any longer. And maybe you do. Maybe you need to go there, and it's something new is unfolding for you there. Whatever it is, allow it to come and trust your intuition to know when it's your time to rise up and rise ready. Thank you for being here today and being a part of this community, its life and its health, part of my life. I certainly wouldn't do it without any of you, so I appreciate you very much and thank you for being here. And I want to invite you to join us today in the spiritual practice of tithing. This is where we circulate the financial good that has come through to us and through our lives back out into the world. It's called the law of circulation, and it's a big old circle that just goes round and round, and we just keep circulating that money. And you can do that on our website. As I said, you can go and there's a donate button where you can click on that. I think Joe's posting some information for you to see the links for all that sort of stuff. And you can do this on a recurring basis, or you can set it up as a one-time, and we do it through a secure PayPal account, so nothing to worry about there. And if you are used to making your donations with us on Sunday mornings, yes, I miss you too, and I miss that whole process. And if you want to mail your check in, Joe's going to post the mailing address for you on the feed here. You can also get it from our website. You can mail your checks in if that's more convenient for you and rather do it that way. We appreciate that too. And your donations do support our mission and our ongoing teaching of affirmative spiritual principles to create a world that works for all. And I know that during this time of economic uncertainty, it can be a little scary to circulate our good back out in the community. But I'm going to invite you to, rather than step into fear and lack and limitation, to step into faith. To step into faith and recognize that as we step in faith, we are opening ourselves up to the infinite channels that Spirit has available to it to circulate through us and to us financially, physically, emotionally, whatever it is that we need. There are multiple channels available through which that can come when we are open to it and standing in faith rather than closing ourselves down and resisting in fear. So I invite you to step into that. I'm going to also invite you to join us for our affirmation. I think Joe's going to post that up in the feed also for you. You can join us in the affirming of our good. I am an open channel through which prosperity flows. I accept the divine flow of goodness, ideas, and substance through me now. I am grateful for my full and prosperous life. And so it is. Thank you again for continuing to support this ministry and a world that works for all. We couldn't do it without you. A couple of reminders before we go this morning. Go to the website, sign up for our newsletter and announcements if you're not already receiving those on Saturday. Tuesday and Thursday, midday meditation with Lori on Zoom. And you can connect with her for prayer if you would like to do that also through the website. Tuesday evening book study with me with our Big Magic book and Elizabeth Gilbert. That's 6 to 7:30. All those connection links and things are available to you on the website. And you can just check out everything there. If you're not familiar with our community, you can find out a lot of stuff about us and who we are and how long we've been around and what we're doing right there on that website. So I thank you for that. Thank you also for tuning in today and joining us for this beautiful Easter Sunday service. Thank you again, Marty, for our cute little rabbit and our beautiful flowers this morning to make us festive and seasonal for the day. And I want to invite you to join me for a closing prayer today, an affirmative prayer, as we just anchor out today and bless our week ahead. How good it is that we gather on Sundays and every day in community and connection and recognition that God is all there is, the one power, the one presence, the one life, the source of all that has ever been and ever will be is God, Spirit, essence, presence. It is love. It is harmony, joy, and thanksgiving. God is perfect health, clarity, abundance, prosperity. God is all and so much more than my human words could ever describe. But I know that as it is all, I am that which it is. I manifest from the one substance which is the divine. The only thing that anything could ever be made out of is the substance of the divine. And I am that, made manifest in form. I am the harmony and the love and the order and the joy, the peace. As I know that for myself, I know that for each one of us here today. For we are all the love of the divine in form. We are its harmony and peace and order. We are its intelligence, intuition, and wisdom. And so knowing this unity in this absolute wholeness, this no separation, there is nothing but unity. I speak my word for and about each one of us today, knowing, claiming, and accepting. As we move through this transition, that we allow it to be that neutral zone of creativity, of creation. We allow it to be this space for us to step into opening to infinite possibilities in our lives, to allowing the creative process to move through us, have its being through us, to allow the intuition and wisdom of spirit that we are to work its way through us into creation, into form, with such joy and gratitude. And I know for anyone that has anything on their heart today, as we lift it into this prayer, that it is blessed and uplifted, and solutions arise, and healings occur, and creativity and order and prosperity, and whatever the need might be. I affirm that it is met in this day, in this moment. I bless all of our healthcare providers and workers these days, those on the front lines of this treatment of all who are affected by this virus, our first responders in fire and medical, and everyone that's out there, all of those who are serving communities in the groceries and pharmacies and whatever the work is that is needing to occur to take care of society. I bless them. Oh my goodness, I bless them so highly, and I invite you to join me in that blessing and knowing of them, surrounding them with your love this day, and protecting them in the wholeness of the one. And it's with a grateful, joy-filled heart that I release this into the action of law, the activity of mind, knowing that it is already done, it is so, and so it is. Again, thank you all for being here, and it's not Easter without the bunny ears, and yes, Penny, I have them, so happy Easter, everyone. It's also a time of year that we celebrate our anniversary. Our first service was on Easter Sunday 5 years ago. Congratulations to all of us who were there, those who've gone on, and those who are still with us. Thank you for being a part of this community. I just couldn't do it without you. And I bless you. I love you. I miss you. And I will see you again next week. Happy Easter.